There's a moment after someone pulls away, a moment so quiet it's almost deafening. It's in that silence where the real battle begins. Not with them, but within you. Your mind starts racing, your heart aches for answers, and the urge to reach out becomes almost unbearable. But what if that silence isn't a void to be filled, but a mirror? A powerful invitation to confront who you are without the crutch of their attention. This video isn't about games. It's not about how to win someone back with manipulation or pretense. It's about something far more powerful, self-mastery. It's about reclaiming your peace, your power, and your presence. It's about stepping out of the emotional chaos and stepping into clarity. Because every time you choose not to text, not to beg, not to chase, you're not just holding back a message, you're building discipline, you're building character. You're choosing long-term growth over short-term relief. And that choice, it changes everything. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That strength is in you, right now, in this silence." In this video, we're diving deep into the Stoic path of handling silence with strength, rejection with grace, and uncertainty with unshakable confidence. Whether you're healing from heartbreak or learning to rise in your own power, this is your moment. Because you're not just getting over someone, you're becoming someone greater. Number 1, why the urge to text feels overwhelming. Let's be honest, the urge to text her can feel like a tidal wave. It crashes in out of nowhere. Loud, emotional, almost impossible to ignore. 1 second you're fine, the next you're reaching for your phone, convincing yourself that just one message might fix everything. But that urge, it's not coming from clarity, it's coming from discomfort. It's not really about her, it's about easing the ache inside you. It's about silencing the uncertainty, the what-ifs, the emotional tension building up in your chest. It's your mind reaching for relief, reaching for something familiar to soothe the unfamiliar pain. But here's what most people never realize. That urge isn't strength. It's a signal that you're looking for external validation instead of internal grounding, that your nervous system is screaming for control in a situation that feels like it's slipping away. The Stoics taught that emotions are not to be suppressed, but understood. So don't shame yourself for the urge, observe it, name it, and then choose not to be ruled by it. Because real control isn't about reacting fast, it's about pausing long enough to respond with wisdom. The next time the urge hits, stop. Breathe. Don't reach for your phone. Reach deeper into yourself. Remind yourself you don't need a reply to reclaim your power. You only need the courage to sit with the silence and grow from it. That's not weakness. That's transformation. Number 2, what silence really tells. Her silence isn't emptiness. It's a message, a loud one. When you choose silence instead of chasing, instead of pleading, instead of proving, you send a signal far stronger than words ever could. It says, "I am not desperate. I do not beg. I value myself enough to let go rather than cling." And trust this. She hears it. Even if she doesn't respond, even if she seems unbothered, your silence is echoing. It's making her wonder, not out of manipulation, but because stillness is unsettling to those who expect noise. She expected you to reach out. She expected the apology, the double text, the emotional plea. But instead, she's met with calm, with space, with dignity. And that space, it forces reflection. Now the roles shift. She's no longer the center of your world. You are. She feels that shift in energy. The power dynamic changes because silence says, "I am not waiting. I am moving forward. But here's the deeper truth. The silence isn't really for her. It's for you. It's your sanctuary, your place of power, your training ground for emotional resilience. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." So let your silence be painted with strength, not bitterness, with peace, not punishment. Because silence isn't absence, it's presence without need. And that speaks volumes. Number 3, mastering emotional control. This is where the real battle happens, not in your phone, not in her response, but inside you. When emotions run high, when your chest tightens with confusion, longing, or frustration, that's the test. And emotional control? It's not about suppressing what you feel. It's about owning it. It's about acknowledging every wave that rises without letting it pull you under. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." That's emotional strength, not reacting out of impulse, but responding with intention. You might feel the urge to lash out, to explain, to seek validation. But instead of acting on that emotion, you observe it, you pause, you breathe, and you choose stillness. That moment right there, that's power. Because mastery isn't about being cold or numb. It's about being deeply in tune with yourself and still remaining calm. It's about standing tall when everything inside you wants to collapse. This kind of control doesn't just protect your dignity, it builds it. It forges the inner man, the one who doesn't crumble when left on red, the one who doesn't spiral when affection fades, the one who feels the storm but becomes the calm. So when your emotions flare, let them. Watch them like clouds passing through the sky. But remember, you are the sky, not the storm. You don't need to suppress your feelings. You just need to stop letting them drive the car. Number 4, desperation versus discipline. Your choice. Every time you reach for your phone, every time your fingers hover over the keyboard, you're standing at a crossroads. Desperation or discipline. And that choice, it defines everything. Desperation is loud. It's frantic. It says, "I need her to respond so I can feel okay." It's that aching pull to feel seen, to feel wanted, to fill the silence with something, anything. But that kind of neediness, it repels what you're hoping to attract. Discipline, on the other hand, is quiet. It's calm. It's choosing to feel the discomfort and not act on it. It's understanding that your emotions are real, but they don't control you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." And that's exactly what this is about. Desperation makes you reactive. Discipline makes you intentional. One comes from lack, the other from self-respect. So ask yourself, are you acting from emptiness or from inner strength? Are you chasing temporary relief or building long-term peace? Because discipline doesn't always feel good in the moment, but it builds something real. It creates self-trust. It makes you magnetic, not because you're playing a game, but because you're standing in your worth. This is your choice, every time. Desperation or discipline? Choose wisely. Choose the man you're becoming, not the boy you're trying to soothe.
Number 5, why chasing only drives her away. Here's the truth most men don't want to hear. The more you chase, the faster she runs. Chasing is rooted in fear, fear of losing her, fear of being forgotten, fear that your worth depends on whether she chooses you. But here's the Stoic reality. No one is drawn to desperation. When you chase, you're not leading with confidence. You're broadcasting insecurity. And insecurity doesn't inspire connection, it repels it. Think about it. Would you be drawn to someone whose emotions hinge entirely on your attention? Probably not, because chasing shifts the energy. It tells her you've made her the prize, while you've forgotten your own value. Stoic wisdom reminds us, he who angers you conquers you. In this case, he who controls your peace owns your power. And when she can feel that you're chasing to soothe your own unease, the attraction fades. But when you step back, not out of spite, but from self-respect, you shift everything. You let her feel your absence. You let her wonder. You allow the dynamic to rebalance. The strongest men don't chase, they attract. They stay rooted, focused, composed. So next time you feel that urge to run after her, pause, breathe. Ask yourself, am I leading with strength or chasing from fear? Because if you want real connection, you don't chase it. You become the kind of man it naturally moves toward. Number 6, becoming the unshakable man. There comes a point in every man's journey when he stops asking, will she come back? And starts asking, who am I becoming in this silence? That's the turning point, from emotional chaos to unshakable clarity. See, an unshakable man isn't cold. He's composed. He doesn't deny his feelings, but he refuses to let them control him. He's not immune to pain. He simply doesn't let pain define his path. And what makes him unshakable? Discipline, stillness, purpose. While others crumble in the silence, he builds. While others beg for attention, he commands it, through his energy, not his words, through his actions, not his pleas. Because an unshakable man knows peace isn't found in her response. It's found in his response to her silence. He wakes up and chooses growth. He trains his body, sharpens his mind, protects his inner world. He's not trying to prove anything to her. He's living for a standard that's bigger than her, bigger than rejection, bigger than the ego. And that energy, it's magnetic. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the code of the unshakable man. So if you're still waiting on someone to validate you, pause. Redirect that energy, start building. Because when the world goes silent, the strongest men don't collapse, they rise. Number 7, the art of letting her miss you. You don't let her miss you by disappearing. You let her miss you by evolving in your absence. Most men make the mistake of thinking that pulling away is enough. That silence alone will spark curiosity, but it's not just the space that matters, it's what you do with it. Letting her miss you means stepping back with purpose, not out of spite. It's not about playing games. It's about giving both of you the room to see clearly. If you're constantly reaching out, constantly proving, constantly available, there's no space for longing, no mystery, no contrast. And without contrast, there's no desire. Let her feel the weight of your absence. Not because you're punishing her, but because you're pouring that energy back into yourself, into your goals, into your evolution, into becoming a man she couldn't ignore even if she wanted to. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Don't waste your time chasing validation. Use it to become undeniable. You let her miss you when you become someone worth missing, because you're no longer dependent on her affection to feel whole. You don't chase, you don't force, you don't beg. You simply disappear into your purpose. And when she looks back and sees the man you've become, it won't be silence she remembers. It'll be your transformation. That's the art. Number 8, avoiding the trap of instant gratification. Texting her might feel good for a moment, that quick hit of dopamine, that tiny spark of hope, that fleeting sense of control. You hit send, and for a second you feel better, like maybe something's finally shifting. But the crash always follows the high. Now you're back to waiting, back to overthinking, back to hoping for a reply that might never come, and all that peace you were starting to build? Gone. That's the trap. Short-term comfort, long-term regret. Seneca once said, "Time heals what reason cannot." But time only works if you let it. If you keep interrupting the silence, if you keep chasing temporary relief, you never give healing the space it needs to work. Discipline means stepping away from the slot machine of attention. It means choosing delayed peace over immediate pleasure. It means sitting in the discomfort and trusting it's reshaping you. Every moment you resist that urge, you win. Even if it doesn't feel like it right away, you're building something real, something solid, something unshakable. You're not just holding back a message, you're building character. And character lasts far longer than any reply ever could. So the next time that wave hits, pause, breathe, and remember who you're becoming. You're not here for quick fixes. You're here for real growth. Number 9, building your value through silence. Silence isn't weakness. It's not passivity. It's not doing nothing. Silence is space. Space to grow. Space to transform. Space to rebuild your foundation from within. If you're sitting in silence hoping she'll notice, you're still chasing. But if you're using that silence to evolve, to sharpen your mind, strengthen your body, and anchor your spirit, then you're no longer waiting, you're building. Hit the gym. Feel your strength return with every rep. Pick up that book. Expand your understanding. Push through the resistance on that project you've been avoiding. Learn a new skill, even if no one's watching. Stack small wins. Let them become your mountain. Because this isn't about proving your worth to her. It's about discovering it for yourself. A man of value doesn't sit in silence, wondering if she'll come back. He's too busy becoming the kind of man she'd be lucky to return to. You're not here to beg for love. You're here to inspire it naturally by becoming the version of yourself that doesn't need validation to feel complete. When your days are full of intention instead of longing, you don't need closure. You don't need a response. You don't need her to feel whole, because your peace no longer depends on who stays or who leaves. It's rooted in what you're creating. So use the silence, not to wait, but to rise, because the world can't ignore a man who's building himself. Number 10, when and why you should actually reach out. One day, you might reach out. But if you do, let it be from stillness, not desperation, from peace, not pain, not because the silence became unbearable, not because you're hoping for relief, and not because you need her to fix the ache inside of you. You'll reach out because you've healed, because you've done the work, because you're no longer reaching for her to feel okay. You already are. When you send that message, it won't be about getting something from her. It'll be about offering something real without expectation. Whether she responds with warmth, silence, or indifference, it won't shake your center, because your peace, it no longer depends on her. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." So before you text her, stop and ask yourself, quietly, honestly, am I doing this out of strength or out of need? If there's still a tightness in your chest, if you're still hoping a reply will make you feel whole, then wait, build more, grow deeper. Let your message come from clarity, not chaos, from grounded truth, not emotional noise. Because the energy behind your words speaks louder than the words themselves. When you can write to her with no attachments, just presence and truth, that's when you'll know. You're not chasing a response. You're simply living your truth, and that is everything. Number 11, embracing the outcome with confidence. This is the final test, not the silence, not the waiting, but what comes after. Can you accept the outcome and remain whole? If she replies, great. If she doesn't, still great. Because now you understand. Your peace was never hers to give or take. It was yours all along. Marcus Aurelius said, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." This isn't about indifference. It's about full-hearted acceptance. This isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming clear. You see, this journey was never truly about getting her back. It was about getting yourself back. The version of you that doesn't beg, doesn't break, doesn't sacrifice dignity for a reply. You care, but you don't cling. You love, but you let go. You feel, but you don't fall apart. If she returns, fine. If she doesn't, you don't lose. You learn, you grow, you rise. The outcome is no longer a threat, because your value, your wholeness, your center, it's unshakable now. So walk forward with grace, Hold your head high. Let go. Not because you're numb, but because you're free. You're no longer a man who waits for someone to choose him. You're the man who chooses himself.